Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back again to the 21-day challenge to become contract ready. You guys, I'm so excited. I cannot believe we are already 2/3 of the way through this challenge. I hope it's been exciting for you guys. I hope that you've been able to learn a lot. I hope that you are able to take the information that you are using, you are learning, and apply it directly in your business. So let's go ahead and jump in for day number 15 and talk about our topic for today, which I am so excited to share because anybody that knows me knows that I have been an accountant for 20 years, and because my background was in taxes, I love talking about today's topic. So help me to stay on track. I'm going to jump right in and let's get going. And hopefully I'll make such a daunting topic a little less daunting, okay? So today we are talking about meeting your business tax requirements, okay? Day 15, all about the taxes. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with you need to do this, you need to do that, really, we're not going to go into detail in terms of the kind of taxes and so forth, but you'll see, it's going to be really good. So let me just jump right in. I know the whole tax situation can be quite overwhelming for everyone. And so when you're a business, as I said before, you go into business because you have a passion for something, and taxes usually do not fall within that. And I do understand that. So, and then you get in and then you find out there's all these requirements, there's Schedule C, there's corporate taxes, there's 1099, W-2s, W-9s, state taxes, payroll taxes, sales taxes, quarterly tax payments, and all these make up the tax responsibilities of your business. And it can be a bit overwhelming. And I do understand that. But at the end of the day, what I find is that small businesses do not like to file their taxes. And I really, after operating in accounting for 14 years, I believe it's because many of you haven't kept the records. I hate to put you out there like that, but either you haven't kept the records. Some of you are just afraid of the process. The process of filing my taxes, it's just exhausting and overwhelming. So you don't want to deal with that. And then some of you are just like, you know what? I know I owe taxes because I haven't done what I was supposed to do during the year, and I just don't want to deal with it. And then others of you are just saying, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what it's going to be like. So I just don't want to deal with the outcome overall. And again, I do understand all of those things, and it makes it really challenging. But let me say this to you, and hopefully this will motivate and encourage you. Unfiled tax returns are typically what delays most small businesses from entering the contracting, since you are required to have 3 years of tax returns. So I hope that will encourage you guys to stay on track with your taxes, because you don't want any sort of delays. This is a huge opportunity for your business to really experience long-term growth and sustainability with these contract opportunities. And so you don't want any little thing to come up that's going to delay it. So, and I'm going to tell you, these tax returns aren't always due for every contract opportunity, but then there are contract opportunities where it can be a really big deal if you haven't done your taxes. And I'm going to share with you an example of that. There was an organization, actually a company that one of our businesses was working with, and they had a system where you had to put your information into their system exactly the way you did on your tax return. And if that system could not locate you in the system, if they couldn't locate your taxes or your previous tax filing, then they could not process you to actually receive payment. And, it's interesting because I actually experienced a challenge with this, even though I filed my tax returns on time and so forth. But one of the errors that we found was that we had a mismatch in terms of how I put my name and how the government had my name in the system. And it caused one of my payments to be delayed by like 6 months. So you guys make sure you get those taxes filed because they're a big part of the contracting space. And again, you're going to need them in areas like when you go and get certification. You're going to need them for when you apply for capital, because as you learned yesterday, you do need capital when you're going into contracts, okay? So don't let your taxes hold you up. So let's move on into our big tip for today. Remember, always, every day, big tip, small task. So your big tip for today is you want to keep good financial records and don't wait until the end of the year to address tax responsibilities. Okay, so you want to know what I mean by that, right? Well, contrary to popular belief, you should actually work on your business taxes all year. This is not a once a year, beat the April 15th deadline sort of thing if you're a business owner. You should be filing quarterly sales taxes, making monthly tax payments for payroll to address your expected income tax liability. And you should be collecting W-4 forms for employees, W-9 forms for contractors when you are onboarding them. So you guys, because of that, you should be dealing with taxes all year long. You should not be waiting until you absolutely know these taxes are due, because there's just too much to do throughout the year in order to make sure you're meeting your requirements. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in a few minutes, but let's go ahead and get into our keys, because you guys know me, when I get excited about a topic, I will quickly cause us to run out of time. So key number one, I want you to have a strong bookkeeper keep up on your financial records, okay? If you don't have one, you're going to need to do the work yourself. That means a few hours every week, you'll have to enter your financial information so that you can stay on track until you hire a bookkeeper, because you don't want them to come in the door and just be overwhelmed with months and months of collected data. And again, having an accounting firm, I experience this all the time with small businesses. In fact, we had a question on our form asking, how far behind are you on your financials? And again, because if you do your bookkeeping, if you keep good records, it'll make it easier for you at the end of the year to actually be able to file your taxes. Then you're not having to wait until the end of the year to figure out, oh my goodness, I've got to file my taxes. My taxes are due. I've got to send out 1099s. I've got to send out W-2s, but my records are all behind. No, you don't want that. So do it throughout the year, okay? Key number two is make monthly and or quarterly income tax payments so that you stay ahead of the tax liability, okay? Don't just freak out and just say, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with it. That's not the way to do it. And the good news is, if you actually owe taxes, the government has a way of breaking those payments into 72 payments so that you actually have several years to be able to pay off your tax liability. I don't encourage you to start that way unless you have a past due tax liability. But what I want you to do is actually start making tax payments now. And a good way to determine your income tax liability is by assessing your quarterly earnings and then taking those quarterly earnings, working with your accountant to determine what your tax liability on those earnings will actually be. And then you can start making payments that will allow you to, by the time you file your tax return, to have paid off that tax liability. Does that make sense? So you're looking at your income from the quarter and saying, okay, based on this, my accountant said this is what I'm going to owe in terms of income taxes based on what I earned. So now we can break that up into payments so that by the time we file our taxes, that liability will already be paid. Okay, so that kind of takes the stress off of things. Okay, key number three, ideally, you should be able to file most of your taxes based on your profit and loss or your income statement, if that's what you guys used to call it. So either profit and loss or income statement. However, if you're a corporation, you will need, you'll likely need your balance sheet as well. So this is why the record keeping is so important. This is why you got to stay up on your record keeping the entire year, because if you keep your records up to date in your bookkeeping system, hopefully you guys are using QuickBooks or something else. you can just run a report, and it will actually provide for your tax accountant your profit and loss and your balance sheet. And then you can just submit those at the end of the year, and that will allow you to file your taxes. Okay. So if you can follow these little simple tips, and I know they don't seem that simple, then this will help you to actually make sure you're filing your taxes, you have them completed on time, and then you meet the requirements, that 3-year tax filing requirement that you're going to need for the contracting space. Okay. So helping you to stay on top of that. Now, I want to go a little bit further, because some of you are like, Kimberly, I have this kind of company, I have that kind of company, and I don't even know what taxes I have due. I've been operating, but I haven't filed my taxes yet. So here are the tax filing forms based on your entity. I thought I'd go ahead and give this to you guys, and I get asked this all the time. Okay, if you're a sole proprietor, you file just a simple Schedule C. And I know many of you guys, if you filed for PPP, you learned what a Schedule C was, okay? And a Schedule C is filed as part of your personal taxes, and that's due on April 15th, okay? If you're a partnership, you're gonna file Form 1065, and that's due on March 15th. Corporations file Form 1120 if you are just a C Corp, and an 1120S if you're an S Corp. And the tax return is also due on March 15th. Now, keep in mind that if you file a corporate or a partnership return, you should file these returns early, because the owners receive K1s with their profit and losses, meaning the profits and the losses of the company transfers to the owner, and you're going to need that in order to file your personal tax returns. So the sooner you file those corporate and partnership returns, the sooner you can actually file your personal tax returns. Okay, now finally, if you are a nonprofit organization, you want to file Form 990. And this form is actually due on the 15th, okay, of May. If your nonprofit organization makes less than $50,000, you actually only have to file an information postcard. It's the simplest thing to do, but you have to get them in every year, and it has to be on time. Because the thing about a nonprofit is, if you file those nonprofit tax returns late, consecutively late for 2 years, your nonprofit status will be suspended. So you guys stay on top of those tax returns. The other thing I didn't mention here is you can file for an extension no matter what entity you have. If need be, if it looks like you're not going to meet that tax filing deadline, go ahead and file the extension. The extension in most cases will give you until October 15th to get your taxes filed. So make sure you guys do that. Do not neglect that, because it will hurt you in the long run. Now, if you are an LLC, you will file based on your election, okay? We got a lot of LLCs out there, and I recognize that. So a single member LLC defaults to a Schedule C, and a multi-member LLC defaults to a partnership return, which would be your 1065. So unless you've made an election to be treated as a corporation, then you must, you've got to file those forms. If you made the election to be treated taxed as a corporation, then you just follow along with corporate filings, which would be your 1120 or your 1120S, okay? And then finally, 1099s and W-2s. These have to be filed, you guys. They have to be filed and sent to all recipients by January 31st. Now, I'm going to tell you something. 1099s were always the worst things that my company did not look forward to, because everyone would have 1099s, but we would find that oftentimes the contractor information was incomplete in QuickBooks. So we'd be asking the companies, where are your W-9 forms? Now, if you are working with contractors, you guys, you have to make sure, as you are onboarding them, to make sure they complete a W-9 form. That's going to give you all of the information about the company that you are contracting with. You can take that information and put into QuickBooks or whatever other system you're using, and that will allow you to file timely 1099s every year. Don't wait until January to try and collect these. Don't wait until after you pay somebody to try and collect these. It's too much. It's too difficult then. So make sure you do them early, okay? And then, of course, if you're onboarding employees, you should have them complete a W-4 form, and you need that anyway in order to issue W-2 payroll and so forth. So I hope that's been helpful. So let me go ahead and give you your small task before we run out of time, because we're already at the top of this session. So your small task for today is, I want you to address your taxes throughout the entire year, not at the end of the year. And I know it's tax time now, so everybody's running around trying to figure out their taxes, but you should be addressing your taxes the entire year. If you have not checked off all of the things that I mentioned, you need to work on a plan to address them today. Get with your accountant, your bookkeeper, whoever, and just get things into motion, okay? So that you are ready for tax season next year and you're not running around scrambling. I want to say to you guys, I hope that the information that we're presenting here is helpful. You know, our goal is always to take small businesses and enable them to make big impact and ultimately a big profit. If you like the information that you're learning, I want you to make sure that you register for our One Contract Away webinar, which tells you more about our Accelerate program. I'm telling you, through that program, we are working to help small businesses become $1 million enterprise. Do you want to be one of the $1 million? Do you want to be one of the million business owners that we work with to get to that next level? If you are serious about taking your business to the next level, meaning you want to create $1 million enterprise utilizing corporate and government contracts, I want you to click this link at the bottom, register for our webinar that's happening on next week, and I will see you there, and we will work our best to get you there. Thank you so much for attending today's session on the 21-day challenge to become contract ready. Join us tomorrow at the same time, same place, 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we will talk about day number 6. We will go to day number 16. We'll talk about the insurances that you may need. Like I said, we're going to get you guys contract ready one way or the other. Thank you for attending. I will see you on tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.